Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining. So in the news, and this is very troubling, Stellantis has decided to pull out of the North American auto shows. This is something that's been brewing, but it was confirmed. And of course, what part of Stellantis am I concerned about? I'm concerned about Chrysler products, Mopar, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram trucks. And of course, Stellantis is the European conglomerate that now owns the Chrysler products. And again, it's very troubling because it seems to me that now Chrysler is no longer run by basically Americans, and the Europeans have a totally different outlook and philosophy on the auto industry. And they don't seem to care at all about the American consumer and American auto brands. And by the way, is this part of a darker scenario where the Chrysler brands are not going to survive? And that's the most concerning part about this. Are we going to lose Dodge and Jeep and Ram trucks, or one or all of them? And it just seems that Stellantis doesn't really care what's happening. They're not really putting much effort into making sure that the Mopar brands are brands that the American car buying public are going to continue to buy. They've gotten rid of the Hemi V8s, they've gotten rid of the Charger and the Challenger, and it just seems that they don't care what's going on, and they don't care if those brands go down. And just to give you a little history, of course, Chrysler is one of the big three. It always has been. That's why it's troubling. They're not going to be at the auto shows this year. I am planning on going to the Washington, D.C. auto show in a few weeks. And it's going to be, really sad to not see Chrysler products there. But in any event, from 1925 to 1998, the Chrysler Corporation was its own corporation. And of course, it was one of the big three American automakers and one of the biggest in the world. And in 1998, Daimler-Benz basically merged with Chrysler, and it became Daimler-Chrysler. And of course, there were some great things that came out of that. There were some improvements. For example, Chrysler's in the process of reintroducing the modern Hemi. And there were some engineering improvements that came out of Daimler. So that was really great. That was 98 to 2007. And then in that was 98 to 2007, right. And then there were some problems that Chrysler was having coming out of the Great Recession, the 2007-2008 recession. And the United States government helped keep them out of total bankruptcy. And a lot of their shares were bought by basically the guy that was running Fiat. And then in 2014, Fiat bought a controlling interest in Chrysler. So it became Fiat Chrysler, FCA, Fiat Chrysler America. And again, they were still basically letting Chrysler and Dodge and Jeep and Ram run things the way they knew best for the American public and the American car buying public. But then in January 2021, Stellantis purchased Chrysler, and of course Stellantis is a European conglomerate. They own many other brands worldwide, but they don't seem to care at all about American brands. They basically, again, have a different philosophy. They basically want to go all electric, and they don't really understand the American car buying public, as I've mentioned. So they're pulling out of the North American auto shows, and it's basically because, again, as I mentioned, they don't care about the American car buying public. I don't think they really have much to offer this year. And Carlos Tavares, who's the CEO of Stellantis, basically is destroying the Mopar brands. I think he should be booted out in his butt. But, he just doesn't understand the American market. And just to let you know why I think that they're not going to, one of the reasons they're not going to be in the American auto shows this year is because they don't have much to offer. I mean, if you look at Dodge, and I did a whole separate video on what I think was happening to Dodge and how I'm not sure they're going to survive. If you look at the Dodge website, they only have two brands in 2024. They still list the Charger and Challenger because you can click on that and still get some 2023 cars. But basically, they only have the Durango and they have the Hornet. And the Hornet is not an American-made vehicle. It's basically an Alfa Romeo Tonale that's been rebadged, and of course Dodge added a few of their own touches on the body and the interior, but again, it's not really an American car. So that just leaves the Durango. So basically Dodge is only really producing and manufacturing the Durango, which is the only American-made, American-designed Dodge. So obviously I can see why they'll be embarrassed if they came to American auto shows this year. And then, so that's Dodge. Then we look at Chrysler. And of course Chrysler was, the head brand of Chrysler cars. And they have one vehicle. That's it. They have one vehicle and it's a minivan. It's the Chrysler Pacifica. So Chrysler just has one vehicle. So Dodge basically making one vehicle, and they have two vehicles in the lineup, including the Hornet. So basically that leaves Jeep, which has, which still has a, pretty good lineup, although they have dropped a couple of the brands within Jeep, some of the smaller brands, and then of course Ram Trucks, and Ram Trucks basically is still doing well, and that's the other brand within the Mopar brands. So again, very, very sad that it looks like Tavares, the CEO of Stellantis, is just, it seems like he doesn't really care about the Chrysler brands, and he's not even going to the auto shows. Chrysler, by the way, Stellantis and Tavares has already said Chrysler is going all electric, and they're trying to move the other Mopar brands into electric as well. But as we have seen, and I did a video on this very recently as well, the electric market is basically crashing. People have realized that electric cars aren't all they were hyped up to be. And some of the car brands, including in Germany, basically recently just dropped all their subsidies for electric vehicles, and they've realized they need to keep a mixture of different powered vehicles. Otherwise, the car manufacturers, the car market is not going to survive. So Stellantis needs to realize this as well. Maybe they can kind of rescue some of the Chrysler brands and reintroduce the Hemi V8 and realize that they need to be more diverse in the types of vehicles that they are producing. So that's it. Wanted to do a quick update on Stellantis and the Stellantis brands that we will not see at auto shows this year. By the way, if you do see Chrysler products, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram trucks at auto shows, it's not because Stellantis is bringing them there. It's because in some cities, the auto dealers have gotten together and say, hey, we need to be able to sell cars. So they're basically paying for bringing Chrysler products to the auto shows. Not Stellantis, not corporate Stellantis, but the poor auto dealers themselves in some cities are going to be forced to pay to make sure that their cars are shown at the auto shows. Thanks for tuning in today. If you haven't already done so, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell. Those things really help a lot. We'll see you next time. Take care.